Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would go back into the files and show you some pretty cool stuff and also do some clarifications on the video I made earlier. The video I made earlier was before the data mines came out and also before the update to the dev server was open and officially launched. So I thought I'd go over some of the things we had to look at and kind of clarify them. So first of all, we have the Tiger East here. This is the Tiger H1 and it's labeled as a premium Tiger for Germany, so it isn't on the dev server, it's just kind of sat in the files, but yeah, it's labeled as a premium for rank 3, battle rating 5.7 and 1600 GE. It's just a Tiger H1 with a few additional tracks and then also some wood on the side, which I generally think is pretty fun, but yeah, so this isn't one which looks like it's coming to the tech tree. Maybe it might be coming to Enlisted, or maybe it might just be for an event. And then we also have the Ostwind 2, which we talked about as well. This vehicle is also labeled as a premium at rank 3, battle rating 5.3, 1750 G premium. So that, to me, is actually kind of cool to see another premium SBAA, even if it is one just with a little bit of a camouflage net. But it's one of those which I feel like should be really nice to actually see in the game and see how it generally does. Obviously, when it comes to these types of things, generally when we talk about them, most people have talked about the idea of premium SBAs in the past and adding them into the game to try and promote the use of SBAs. Now, the next thing I want to show you is there are some new animations that have been added to some pretty cool things. So to start with, we have the Mk.35 Hawk radar. Now, you've got to remember over the last few updates, obviously we had like the Patriot missile launcher, which was in the update trailer, but the Patriot has actually been in the game for a while, right? Like, this is what it looks like, this is what it's all set up, but what they've also been doing is slowly but surely adding more animations to these things, making them more realistic, and eventually I think the idea is to eventually make them active in some certain way, which I think will be generally cool. So that's where the Mk.35 Hawk radar comes in, the MPQ-50. They've actually added an animation to it. So you can see that it actually rotates now, which I think is generally pretty cool, and I'm super glad to see that. Now, I'm guessing they'll eventually get animations for all of these things. There's another one that has some animations too, which is the Mk.23 Hawk radar, the Siwa. This one also rotates, so it just looks very clean, it looks very nice, and we know for a fact that stuff like seed stuff is being worked on, and that is kind of the next major type of missile that hasn't come to the game yet. So of course they're going to be working out missions on how to do that, whether it's a PvE thing, whether it's a WWM thing, whether it's just standard tech tree stuff, who knows? Like, at the end of the day, it all looks pretty cool. Now, there is a vehicle that I actually missed in the files, and this is one which I actually think is pretty cool. It's the Ersatz Yorck. So this is a battle cruiser for the Germans. You may remember that I think it was the last update, Germany got either a battleship or a battle cruiser, which didn't actually get finished like it was proposed. It was planned but never completed. And we have another one. This is the Ersatz Yorck, and it's part of the Ersatz, basically, Yorck class. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't call it that. I should just call it a class of 3 battle cruisers. This vehicle and its sister ships were just never finished. So they had plans to build them during the First World War. They started building them in 1915, and then unfortunately just never really went anywhere because during the war Germany wasn't exactly doing great, and they decided to shift focus to try and build as many U-boats as possible to deal with the overwhelming Royal Navy and also some other factors. So this is more of a standard First World War battle cruiser. It has 8 of the 15-inch SKL-45 guns, so you have 2 sets on the back here, and then you have 2 sets on the front, so pretty standard. Then you also have 12 5.9-inch guns, and then also 8 3.5-inch guns, which should be on the vehicle here. You can see the actual guns on each side, so there looks like there's a few more guns than just the 8, and then of course you have the blisters where they've turned up too. So the main belt of this should be, you know, maybe 300 in areas, maybe 200, maybe 100, since it was never finished, and of course, you know, plans can change, who knows, but right now this vehicle is just kind of sat in the files, and it's another show that these types of vehicles do end up in the game, even if they aren't fully done in. I don't know why the asset viewer looks like this, by the way. I'm going to try and fix it, but you can see all of the craziness that is this engine, by the way. Look at all of these funnels on the engines going right into the center stuff. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, so the Ersatz Yorck is here. This one, it has just a mega funnel, but it looks really cool, and I'm super happy to see this one, and it's another vehicle that I feel like will just add quite nice things to the game. There's also some new missiles. So if you have been looking on the dev server, you may have seen a few interesting additions to the Raphael and also a few others. Well, do I have news for you? Look at this. This is the AGM 130. Now, what is the AGM 130? It's an air-to-ground missile, and basically what they did is they took a GBU-15 bomb, this one specifically is a 2,000-pounder, and they just attached a rocket booster to it. So basically making it a missile. You can see the rocket booster down here, and you can see the actual bomb here. So it's kind of like the Skipper in a way, or the new Raphael bombs, but with slightly different guidance of the GBU-15. Now, this is the 130A version. There are two versions that are in. You also have the 130C, which is this one right here. It's slightly different. Basically, this one uses a BLU-109 penetrating warhead to use against armored targets. So this one will have a little bit more penetration, whereas this one should probably have a little bit more boom. The general look at them is basically the same. You just have the little bit on top that's different. But yeah, this missile, I mean, I'd call this missile, it's a bomb with a rocket on it. This missile could be carried on stuff like the F-111, for example, the Aardvark, and also the F-15E. So this would make the F-15 even stronger. Something tells me that Gaijin really want to add back in the Groms. So they're adding in all of these other missiles to France and to America and to everybody to justify trying to get them back in, because obviously people really want them and they would be pretty powerful. So the AGM 130A and 130C is here. There's also another one that is kind of sat in the wings, and this is actually for France, and it's a new GBU-58. This is a Paveweight 2. It's a 125 kilo bomb, so pretty small, and you can even see that it is very much true to form. Do not grab wings, so just make sure that you don't. But you can even see it says Matra BAE Dynamics on it. So we have a branded guided bomb here, which is pretty cool. Another paveway in the house, and then on top of that we have a bunch of ASMs, which once again are for France. These are the hammers. We talked about them on the dev server. We'll go into them a little bit more detail in the actual review of the Raphael, but some of them are already in the dev server. These all are 250 kilo versions. This is the IR version. This is the laser version. The major difference is the seeker head, so the laser, and then you have the IR. You can see the difference in the head. And then the inertial is just both, or, well, inertial might just be without the two guidances, actually, my bad. And then you have the 500 kilo one, which is this one, and then you have the IR version with the different head, and once again, the laser version. So, yeah, that's pretty much the bombs that are sat here. Some are on the dev server, other ones aren't, which is pretty nuts. And then we have an interesting one. Now, I'm hoping I'm wrong about this. I might not be, but I might also be. Who knows at the end of the day. Sometimes I do get these things wrong, but there's a new torpedo in the files. And this torpedo, if I can actually find it, is a one which looks pretty cool. So this is under German weaponry, and it's the 533mm Mk.35, so I'm guessing it's just a standard one, whether it's for, World War I or World War II, but there is actually a more interesting Mk.35 torpedo that was used by the Americans, and it's actually one which was an anti-submarine torpedo which used active guidance systems. Now, I'm pretty sure that isn't this torpedo, but if I'm honest, it actually looks pretty similar to it, so maybe it might be. It might be cool to kind of see this in the game, but also it is under the German ship's weaponry, so it's probably something to do with Germany. Maybe it's a German ship that used this, or maybe it is straight up just a German torpedo with exactly the same name. So you let me know. As always, bunch of cool ordnance, bunch of cool ships that are in the files, and also something I should mention is there was another finding in the files which I can't show you, but the Kafir C10 Columbia edition was mentioned in a bunch of textures, so it looks like that one's coming in, which is kind of cool. And also, of course, the Panzer Haubitz, the German one, the Hungarian one, which both are on the setup, and then of course the Italian one, which is here too. This one isn't on the dev server, but hopefully at some point it will be. As always though, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.